used to spend my nights out at the ballroom. Liquor was the only love I'd ever known. But then you rescued me from the bottle and brought me back from being too far gone. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey.
That was all done from a backing track I made on this keyboard yesterday. Let's talk about backing tracks. Welcome back to Danny Robertson Music, where we're here to help you become that performer that you're meant to be. I'm Danny Robertson. Welcome back. Thanks for joining me again this week. We're talking about that controversial topic of backing tracks. Now, I'm going to say this right out of the gate. Most musicians are either for it or against it, but there are very few people that are in between. So I'm going to stay kind of a neutral party in this whole equation, and I'm going to try to talk to you about the reasons why you may want to have them, the reasons why you may not want to have them, and maybe some situations that might make sense for or against, okay? Now, personally, I don't use a lot of backing tracks, but when I'm doing these videos for you, in order to show you something like a medley or a mashup or something that I do on the keyboard, it usually requires me to set up some kind of backing track.
I'll pick up the slack, yep. Take it to the bridge, hey, dirty babe. You said you want me to, yeah, but I can't go for that. No can do. Steady, you remember, body out, dancing in September. No diggity, got to bag it up, babe. I like the way you work it. No diggity. Now I wonder if I could fall into the sky.
Whether you're for or against backing tracks, just take this as a disclaimer. I'm not here to sway you one way or the other. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about reasons why you might want backing tracks. Number one, it fills your sound. It gives you the instruments that you don't have on stage, and it helps you create a bigger, full sound. Makes your group feel like a bigger, more expensive, more exciting performance, okay? It also allows for you to have bigger and better creative possibilities when it comes to performing live. This can be great for the kind of groups that only have maybe 2 guitars, a bass guitar, and a drum set. Your capabilities in performing a bigger show than just a rock band show are kind of limited unless you use something like backing tracks or you get extra musicians. The group that I play with most of the time, we go as big as about a 12 or 13 piece with multiple singers, a full horn line, a keyboard player like myself, along with guitar, bass, drums, things like that. When you've got a smaller group, or even if you're playing in a solo or a duo, a backing track could help you provide a bigger sound. The question is, in this case, is do you need it and do you want to? Now let's look on the other side of the coin. What would be some reasons why you don't want backing tracks? Backing tracks do tend to do one thing, is if you pre-set up an entire track, for most people, you're not going to deviate from that track. So if you set up a backing track, you're going to play to that exactly. A lot of the time, the pros will actually set up their backing tracks so that they can be changed and maneuvered in the middle of the song. So like they use programs like Ableton Live, and they have somebody sitting on the sidelines who's actually manipulating that to try to help make that backing track follow the band, not the band following the backing track. But when you're playing in a small group and you might only have the ability to put it on a computer and just play back straight through to what's on the computer or a Spotify playlist or something like that, you might be stuck to the track that you've made, and you might not be able to deviate from that. So once you've created a backing track, a lot of the time you can't change from that. Now, some other places where this might work differently is like, for example, what I did on the keyboard here today. The keyboard here is set up in a way that I can create sections of my track. And then as I'm playing the song, if I want to change the section, I can press a button and I can go to the section that I want to go to next. But it doesn't mean that I have to play a track straight through. I have it sectioned off for different patterns, and I have the ability to change that as needed. Now with that, backing tracks also come with a lot of extra tech. It's like having an extra instrument on stage that you might not have a lot of control over how to fix the problems on it. So you really want to think about that, whether or not that's worth the hassle for you. Some people it is, some people it's not. And then we've got to look at the obvious ones with the sound of your show. If you're using backing tracks to sound bigger and full and more like the original song, you might get caught in the mix of you sound too much like the original song and you don't sound original enough as your own musician self. So you can lose a little bit of your own tone and personality by using backing tracks. So when it comes down to it, there are plenty of reasons to have backing tracks and plenty of reasons why you might not want backing tracks. I'm not the only one to have done a video about this kind of stuff, so whether or not it's cheating, I don't care. It's up to you to decide that. One of the best instances I've seen of use of backing tracks was when I opened for a Michael Jackson tribute band. This group wanted to make their sound as close as possible to Michael Jackson. So what they did is they did have a live band. They had a drummer, they had a bass player, a guitar player, and they had two horn players, along with two different Michael Jackson impersonators. But because Michael Jackson's sound is so unique and they were trying to match that, they had backing tracks that were being played, I think either through a CD player at that point, or maybe maybe through a laptop computer. But it basically supplemented their sound and made it sound like Michael Jackson. Certain things that only Michael Jackson did, like I'll give you an example, the song Jam. There was a glass breaking sound that was included in the actual recording of the song. So they mimicked that in their backing tracks and they made it sound more like the original tune, but supplemented with a live band. It was great to watch, but I can tell you that that band had to be dialed in and know exactly what changes were happening exactly when to make that show sound big and huge and full. Now, by comparison, the group that I play with doesn't use backing tracks at all. We typically run as a 9-piece band for the most part, sometimes a 7-piece. And what we're trying to do is fill it up as much as we can with the instruments we've got. And the collection of people that we have that can fill those gigs do that in slightly different ways. So in this case, it does not make sense for this group to run with backing tracks because there's so many constant changes that you'd never have that down perfect anyway. So we do it the best that we can with the instruments that are there on the day of each gig. So now let's take it down a notch. Let's say you're not in a band whatsoever, but you do want to perform live and you're either a soloist or maybe a duo, and there's only so much you can do on stage. The question becomes in this case, do you bother with backing tracks? And I think the answer in this case is maybe. Now, guitar players seem to have figured this out in a way that works for a lot of them. A lot of them will use, instead of using backing tracks, they'll use something like a looper to create their own version of a song that has its own extra beat and maybe a bass line and maybe some extra parts, but it's all being done by the vocals and the guitar, and it's being looped in a way that it makes it so that it feels like a full song. But what if you're a keyboard player like me? Well, I mean, you've seen what I can do with backing tracks. I have a way to make a performance a little bit bigger, But the question is, should I? It really just depends on the kind of music you're playing and the kind of show you want to give. So what if you're playing something like solo dinner music and you're really not needing to be anything other than background noise for the audience while they eat their dinner or something like that? You might not need backing tracks in that case. You could just play your piano or play your guitar, maybe sing a little bit, but maybe you don't even need to. It's all dependent on the kind of show you're trying to give. Now, if you're trying to be bigger and more exciting and more entertaining in a live show while only being a one-piece or a two-piece band, backing tracks could help you. But if you're hired to be somewhat of what I would call quiet entertainment, you're not really the center of attention in the first place, you might not want or need backing tracks because it might be too much hassle. So when it comes down to all of this, it really does not matter what I say to you. It all comes down to your opinion and what you want to do with your live show. So that's all I'm going to say on the subject. Do whatever you want to do, but make sure your performance is the best it can possibly be. So that's my 2 cents for today. Best of luck to you on that. If you want to dive deeper into these kinds of conversations about performing, I'd love to show you more at my website, DannyRobertsonMusic.com. So come check us out. There's even a few free downloads that you can take advantage of over there. So take a look at that first. Get in touch with us. We'd love to help you more. So thanks for watching this week. Best of luck to you on your next great performance, whether you use backing tracks or not. And I'll see you soon. Take care.